Wayne County Public Library, and today I am here to review a new book that I really enjoyed, and that is When Women Were Dragons by Kelly Barnhill. Now, if you recognize her name, that is because in 2017 she won the Newbery Award for The Girl Who Drank the Moon, which was fantastic. It's like reading a fairy tale. And so when I heard that she had a new book coming out, I wanted to give it a go. Now, this is a magical realism novel, which essentially means that it takes place in a world exactly like ours, but with like a little bit of a magic twist. And our main character is Alex. So in 1955, when Alex is quite young, there is a mass dragoning. And that is when hundreds of thousands of women, young girls, mothers, grandmothers, they all are literally transformed into dragons. So that's our magical part, our magical realism. And when they're turned into dragons, they leave behind this trail of destruction and fire everywhere they go. You know, suddenly there are husbands that don't have a house and are forced to take care of the kids by themselves, which would have been, of course, a little different from, you know, typical 1950s Americana. There may have been some handsy and inappropriate bosses who found that their stores were now on fire because of these dragons and so on. And actually, I wrote down one of my favorite quotes that describes the destruction from the mass dragoning. And I'm just going to read it. It says, "Philandering husbands were extracted from the embraces of their mistresses and devoured on the spot in view of astonished onlookers." So it's a little bit cheeky, but it's also a really good novel. Now, Alex, our main character, like I said, is quite young when this happens, and she has a lot of questions, like you would expect from a child. You know, did the women want to turn into dragons? Can she turn into a dragon? What caused them to change? Can they come back to being humans? Where did they go? Because they just take to the sky and we don't see them again. And, you know, I think most importantly for Alex is the question of why did her Aunt Marla choose to become a dragon, or did she not choose? And will Aunt Marla be coming back? So Alex tries to ask the adults in her life these questions. She starts with her mom. Her mom just shuts down that topic. She tries to ask her teachers, and she encounters that same thing. And she's even warned that the topic of dragons is so taboo that she's going to get punished if she keeps asking questions. And it is just best if we all forget what happened. And so, you know, you get this thing that they call, you know, we had the mass dragoning. And so now there's this phenomenon that the scientists are calling the mass forgetting, where, you know, people are pretending a year later, you know, never mind all those dragons. We don't talk about them. Best not to dwell. And so it's not just Alex then, of course, that's asked to be silent when it comes to dragons. Scientists who study dragon transformations are labeled un-American. They lose their jobs. Libraries and schools are stripped of books that even mention the word dragon, even if it had nothing to do with the events of 1955. And children are even taught not to look at the sky out of fear that they might see a dragon or a shadow from a dragon, and that might put ideas in their heads. So Alex's mom is really caught up in this idea of forgetting, and as an outside adult reader, I can see that, you know, she's probably pretty overwhelmed because Aunt Marla is Alex's mom's sister. So she's lost a sister. And, you know, so her mom chooses to embrace this idea of forgetting. And one day she just comes home carrying a baby. And she tells Alex, go play with your sister, you know, in the living room. And she says, well, that's my cousin, Beatrice. That's Auntie Marla's daughter. And she goes, I don't know who you're talking about. That young girl has always been your sister. So her mom is actually gaslighting her into thinking that Aunt Marla never even existed at this point. It's kind of wild. But that's how strong this anti-dragon sentiment is. And so now, we watch Alex grow from this young girl who witnessed her first dragon when she was 4, all the way through her college years. And in that time, she has a very protective mother. And then we also watch her father become increasingly distant. And, I was writing this review, and it's actually really hard to talk about this novel without giving much more than I already have away. But I wanted to do a video because this is one of the most interesting and unique books I've read in a really long time. It's part metaphor, it's part coming of age story, and it is about rage and memory and trauma, but it's also about what happens when you're forced to be silent, while at the same time it's also about family and who you make your family and community and being together. So without being able to talk about much more, definitely check this out if you are looking for something new that's unique with a hint of magic.